What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Moosey Gamer, and today I'm here with another crazy 11 billion account for another account coaching slash account review session for Hokage's account. And for those of you who are wondering who Hokage is, or who are like, oh, why does that name sound familiar? Is because Hokage is actually one of the kings at Kingdom 3879, who is a recent victor of a 4 Imperium KVK. He's one of the kings there against 3875, 3873, 3865, 3869. So, yeah, Hokage actually has a different account that actually this one is his main at 3358 that is holding he's one of the holding kings of that kingdom as well. So he has two different accounts managing leadership for two different servers. That is crazy, just FYI. I've been in leadership at another game before, and Rise of Kingdoms obviously have one of the most robust leadership roles that I've ever seen in any other game possible. And I don't know how he's able to manage two different accounts like that while also getting 11 billion kill points, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that's the same Hokage. For those of you who are like wondering, oh yeah, why does that name sound familiar? It's because you guys have actually seen him in my channel for different videos, right? But today we're here to actually review his main account, so that is really good. I would like to give a special shout out for Hokage for signing up for that membership, as well as giving me the chance to review this account and provide some suggestions, because I do happen to have some suggestions given the fact that he does have a lot of goals that he has ahead of him. So yes, with that said, let's just go ahead and take a look at Hokage X Wu account that we have at Kingdom 3358. Right off the bat, he does have 11 billion kill points, which is kind of crazy. Like, I played this game for like 4 years. I'm sitting at what, like 6 point something million. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, I'm sitting at 6.5 million. So 6.5 billion. So yeah, he is holding a lot of kill points, as well as 96 million power, which is kind of crazy. He does hold 3 altars, which is good, and then he won Arc of Osiris League for 27 times. Aside from that, I don't really see anything else that I know that I can tell. I don't really know which of those actually means anything, but yeah, let's just go ahead and look at it. VIP 22 days. 2,200 days that he has actually consecutively logged in for. He is VIP 18, which is nice. And yeah, he has a lot of resources right out already. But yeah, VIP 18 is good. Obviously, if you're not a rally or garrison, you don't need to reach VIP 19, because VIP 18 is where you're gonna get that extra unit capacity. But yeah, very, very good. He's a little bit far away from VIP 19, so if he wants to rally or garrison, obviously on top of having the best like rally and garrison gear and armaments, having VIP 19 does help. I personally don't have it. I'm very close to hitting VIP 19, which I am eventually going to hit it, right? I'm eventually going to try to hit the VIP 19 for that extra 5% attack. But yeah. So that's basically where he's at. So yeah, but no problem with running field account with VIP 18, because that does give you the extra 20,000 unit capacity without expansion, which is actually really, really good. So, yep. And he currently holds a lot of speed ups. Now, you guys might be wondering, why, Musa, why are you showing his speed ups? It's because, and I was wondering that same thing when he actually shared me the speed ups. But after I read through his kind of objectives and stuff, speed ups do matter a lot for his account. I'll go over it in a bit. But yeah, he does have a lot of speed ups. He does have what, like 2,400, almost 2,500 days of speed ups, including training and universal, which is really, really good. So we'll go ahead and take that into account when we're looking at other things later down the road that he requests. But a lot of speed ups and a lot of resources, those are all awesome. Now, taking a look at his commander pool, though, you guys can see that he is holding a lot of meta commanders, but also at the same time, he is missing some meta commanders. For example, he doesn't really have Sun Tzu Prime. I don't even think he even got GG, because this is actually not even a cavalry account. So yeah, he doesn't really have GG. He does have Arthur and Achilles, which I think is nice. He does have Attila and Justinian. So I'm assuming that this account used to be the rally lead for both of those, which is kind of interesting. And he does have Gorgo and Hector, but not really Tokugawa. So that kind of is like borderline okay for a garrison. Ideally, you want to have both Gorgo, Hector, and then Tokugawa, so that all those three commanders, so that you can, you know, switch in and out if you want to garrison. But that is good. That is good as it is. He does have Shapur, but not expertise, and he have YSS and Zenobia. All those old commanders are in there. I mean, the man has played the game for 2258 days, so yeah, I'm assuming that he has a lot of OG commanders. But he's missing some commanders. You know, obviously he's missing Sons of Prime. He just barely has it unlocked, so he has to invest in him. And as far as what I've been told, he only have 40 gold tests left, so yeah, he doesn't really have enough gold tests for him to expertise Sons of Prime at the very moment, is what I'm getting. But aside from that, you know, Baichi's good, Lucha's good, and you know, the Ragnar Prime's good. All those kind of commanders are very, very useful. You know, having a Herman Prime does help. Zhuge Liang does help. You know, Qin Shi Huang is awesome, and then it has YSG, so a lot to work with. Now, let's just go ahead and move on to each of his marches, and then let's take a look at what he needs, right? So Baichi. So he's currently running Baichi and Hector, which is very interesting. Hector does do smite damage. It does do a lot of smite damage, actually. Let me just take a look at it. I do have expertise Hector myself. I think he does like 2,500, 2,700, right? Yeah, oh, 2,600. Yeah, 2,700 was the skill damage. Okay, so he does 2,800 combo damage because he does this twice. 2,600 smite damage and then 2,700 skill damage. So 2,600 skill damage. So he's kind of using him as a William Wallace, which I think is really cool. Like, it's a different perspective, but I think that's not a bad idea. But it's certainly not as good as having Sun Tzu Prime, but, you know, obviously he doesn't have it yet, so he'll need to work on it. But, alright, so Baichi Hector. I don't know how that performs, though. I don't know how that performs on the field, because that hasn't been kind of listed as one of the meta marches that you can run, so very, very interesting choices. Interesting kind of setup, lineup. But his equipment is amazing, right? His KVK helmet is iconic 4 and critted, which is awesome. This is really, really big, right? Obviously, getting to iconic 5 is ideal, but iconic 4 is more than enough for you to actually have a very, very good performance on the field. As a matter of fact, doesn't iconic 4 give you like 2% all damage on the field? Yeah, iconic 4 gives you 2% all damage on the field once you crit it. So yeah, that is an absolutely beautiful piece of equipment. Along with iconic 3 Hope Cloak for the extra extra stats, as well as the unit capacity. Iconic 2 gloves is fine. Iconic 4 Eternal Knight for the extra all damage on the field as well. I'm assuming he got unlucky with the hammer, so he's iconic 2 hammer. I'm assuming he's working on the crit as well. But yeah, that's awesome. Having hammer is fine. And then iconic 4 boots for the extra march speed. Most likely he's going to go for iconic 5 eventually. And then having horn and greatest glory is also fine. Very, very good. Almost as good as rally or garrison need for interesting equipment. The pincer formation, though, does need a little bit of work if he wants to use this as a rally or garrison lead. You know, Topper is fine, Raider is good, Hard-Headed and Elite is good, but obviously nowadays, you know, if you want to be a rally or garrison lead, you need at least like 2 legendary inscriptions with one slot on the scroll, because this is the one that you can get from winning the Autark, or you know, it's just over time. And then this one right here, banner. And then having 2 rares, I think is probably the nowadays the borderline okay level of inscriptions. But he does have a lot better inscriptions somewhere else. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. But this is a very, very strong field march if you were to use it on the field. Again, question mark on the Hector, because I don't know. I personally never used it like that. But yeah, hopefully he can maybe, he's performing well with that pairing. But let's go ahead and take a look at the second march. Okay, so he has Liu Chen Alexander the Great. Okay, that's interesting. He's missing one accessory in terms of the equipment. And he's running pincer. So he's running 2 pincer, which I don't personally recommend usually if you're running, Alexander the Great. Obviously, I think it's still better than having a wedge formation. But if you're gonna build 2 pincer, I would say have the commanders in line first before you actually work on your equipment and armament. So that's what I would personally recommend. But yeah, he does have pincer, which is good. Toppler, assertive smite, all very very powerful armament inscriptions for especially for an infantry march on the field. He does have 6.7% infantry march speed, which is really good because he's missing some iconics on the boots. He's kind of compensating that with march speed in sacrifice for the attack, which is really really good. Does have 3 pieces of Eternal Empire, so if he can get that weapon in, he will be able to get that 10% march speed for infantry, which is actually all you need for you to use that max utilize that set bonus. And most likely we can actually use a horn here or a drum, depending on what you want to use, because Liu Che does thrive with drum as well. So overall, pretty nice set, I would say. Let's go ahead and move on. And he does have a Ho Chi Bing Jonabar Prime, which is what I used to run until I actually made the second Delta set, which is good. Ho Chi Bing Jonabar Prime, there's nothing wrong with them. They're really, really good in terms of like their performance. They're not the best performing march in the field right now, just naturally because they're kind of outdated. They're like they're like 2 years old, right? So yeah, this march, and obviously something that you got to use because you got to utilize that wedge formation basically, right? He does have one mistake here on the equipment, which is the Hellish Wasteland armband. Usually you would like to get the Navarre's control. What a lot of people do though is that if you don't have blueprints for Navarre's control, you actually craft something else that you have. And that's what he did. But the reason why this is actually not that good is because, for one, the reason why defense is actually really, really valuable for cavalry is because you already have a lot of health from health that you can gain from the equipment set. Now, if you don't have Navarre's control, that kind of puts health at a higher priority. So it is still much better for you to actually consider having the Navarre's control here. So that's something that you can potentially look to replace. You already have 4-piece bonus from the helmet, chest piece, boost, and weapon on this setup right here. So you're not really getting the 5-piece bonus or the 6-piece bonus from here. So yeah, most likely I will suggest that you can actually eventually replace this, but that's basically where you're at. Wedge formation, Hunter Spirit, Brawler counter is all good. He does have one missing armaments that he hasn't rerolled, but that's fine. 1.8% all damage, 7.4% health. Very, very good stuff. He's missing some defense because he didn't really reroll the siege defense, but overall, I would say pretty strong setup that I would run as well. All right, moving into our Arthur and Achilles. It looks like this is his Delta in the main cavalry setup, right? He does have 2 pieces of KVK set. He does have the best in slot equipment for everything else. Credit Navarre's control. I call it 2. I'm assuming this is why he's using Hellish Wasteland on the other one. And he does have credit Hellish Wasteland boost, which is nice. He does have iconic 2 on the Ash of the Dawn, which is nice. And he has Thrasher, Fit, Determined, Relentless, which is good. But he's missing that curative or butterfly effect. So the benefit of using Delta formation is somewhat diminished because he doesn't have the identity inscription, I'll say. Because at the end of the day, you're using butterfly, you're using the Delta formation because you want to utilize the butterfly effect or curative for the extra proc chance within the inscription, right? So it is slightly premature in terms of your conversion to Delta, in my opinion. But still, regardless, you have pretty good setup, I would say. Arthur and Achilles is the best march, that best single march that you can use for cavalry. So I think you're doing fine. Just need a little bit more rerolls or better inscription. I'm assuming you're waiting for better inscription without transmutating these, which I think is a smart move. So yeah, very very good setup. Let's go ahead and move on. He does have Zhuge Liang with Herman Prime. Okay, so I'm assuming this is his second archer because, obviously your first archer should always be Qi Xiong YSG. But he does have really good equipment for it, right? 2 pieces of KVK weapon and the helmet. And then he does have Milky Way crafted, which is interesting because he doesn't really have the second glorious goddess setup. So he's actually missing what's this called? The set bonus from this. And then he's running 2 pieces of gloves and pants for the Dragon Breath bonus. Not the most optimized set, I'll say, but this actually kind of works in its own way. So I think I don't think it's something that you should actually consider dismantling at this point, at any point, right? Because Dragon Breath gloves obviously is better than not better than the Ian's choice, right? That's what the equipment's called, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. The gloves, the archer gloves, right? The Ian's choice actually gives you 8%, whereas the Dragon Breath Vembrace only gives you 7.5. But you're getting the extra bonus from the from utilizing the 2-piece bonus. So this is fine. Obviously, again, not the most optimal setup that I would personally suggest, but you have this already built. I would say go ahead and run with it. There's no problem with running this. This will perform almost as good as an optimized setup, right? Valiant actually gives you all damage. Armor gives you extra defense, and then having that 2% all damage on top of 7.9% health is really, really good in terms of stats. Defiant for the banner set is good. Very, very good setup, especially considering that this is a secondary archer set, which is nice. Now, looking at the Qi Shi set. Okay, so this is where he actually did focus on, right? This is actually what a lot of people run. In terms of setup, he does have 4 pieces of Dragon Breath set with critted Dragon Breath bow, which is nice. And then he has the 2-piece leadership set with the pants and the gloves, which is actually one of the better setup. I personally have one that does use the pants and the boost because I am a health nerd. But yeah, those 2 are really, really good. He does have a Pendant of the Eternal Night, which is actually really, really good. And he does have critted horn. Now, the one with the Qin Shi Huang, though, is that... Not the one with the Qin Shi Huang. I would say the problem with the Qin Shi Huang, though, is that you don't really benefit too much from running a horn. So what I think is the best setup for Qin Shi Huang is actually the ring and the Pendant of the Eternal Night, right? I think he has this one on here because it's a critted horn. So that's why he has it on the best march. But I would say I'll replace this with either a regular horn or a ring. So that's really, really good. But look at that freaking armaments, guys. Look at that freaking armaments. He has rally or garrison level wedge formation setup, right? Intrepid, balanced, unstoppable hunter. All legendary inscription, which is really, really nice. He has 6% attack. The attack's a little low, but I'm assuming it's because he has the march speed from somewhere, either on the defense or the attack side. The health is good, and then all damage is okay. So this is really, really good. The armor setup, he has AAA armor setup. He has A setup for the equipment. So this seems like this might actually be his strongest march, despite the fact that his actual equipment is a little bit weaker than the one he has on the infantry. But yeah, this might be the strongest set he has because of the armor setup, which is really, really nice. Now, I did talk to him. I did ask him, what do you want me to actually go over, right? I usually take like the long-term, short-term kind of goals and all that stuff. So this is what he sent me. So he said this is currently 2 infantry, 2 cavalry, 2 archers setup. The horn that is currently on Huo would most likely usually be used on Liu Che, as Huo is now the 6th march. Okay, that's good. And he has 24 gold tests. He told me that he has 40, so he's broke in terms of the commander sculptures. And then he expertise Hector recently, which he was planning to use with Baichi until the next infantry AoE is released. I'm assuming he made that decision before Sunset Prime was released, which is kind of unfortunate. Short-term goal right now is to working on maxing your archer set and then fixing up your armaments, but that is more than there's more of a long-term issue at reset crystal. That is fine, right? Because I think he's right now, from reading that, I'm assuming that he's actually blocked by transmutation crystals, right? Those don't come by easy, right? Marches are by Hector. Okay, so he sent me the March setup, which is nice. And then for his second archer set, he's looking at swapping the boost to Dragon Breath. Which is okay. And there's yeah, so that's he's kind of trying to make a full leadership infantry set, which is good. But for now, I'm gonna actually ignore these, and I'm gonna try to provide my best suggestions for the equipments in the later down the slides on what you can do with the current setup, right? Obviously, you don't really have that many mistakes, so I think that's fine. Looking to save gold dust at the moment, so and then he wants to get different goals if possible too. Then equipment wise, he's thinking about crafting the 6 horn or drum for iconic leveling his archer set, which is okay. That's nice. And yeah, that's basically it. And he did actually mention though that he's looking to push a Zenith or 2 within the next 2 years. 1 infantry and 1 archer, or maybe waiting for the leadership. So this is something that I would actually give absolutely crazy suggestions on. So that's going to be the focus of this video. Now, looking at this account, initial assessment of this, the pros, overall, high-level equipments and armors. Obviously, this account has way more KP than I do. So, obviously, me judging from a 6.5 million billion kill point noob, it does not really sound appropriate. But yeah, overall high-level equipment and armors. All 6 marchers have strong weapon armors at the moment, and the archer armors are actually rallying garrison class inscriptions. And then you have top level infantry gear, right? Your infantry gear could be a rally garrison level as well. So that's really, really good. And you have Zenith possible speed ups and resources with 6.8 years of speed ups saved up, which is really, really nice, right? And you have high KP 6 march setup. Most people actually have 5 setup, right? So the fact that you have 6 is really, really good. That means that you can kind of bring out more troops on the field. Especially this account does look more like a fielder account at this very, very moment. So having a high KP 6 march is really, really good. Now cons though, some equipment issues. Obviously, Lisha has no accessory. It's holding Gatekeeper shield, which is there's nothing wrong with it. But obviously for your setup, your level of account, obviously you can actually improve that. Okay, Cavalry number 2 has Hellish Wasteland Glove, which is not optimal, as I said before, and Archer equipment mixed with 3 leadership and bad accessory. Archer number 2, I mean, right? But you have a plan for that at the end of the day, right? So no, Archer number 1 and 2 combined together, they have 3. He has 3 leadership pieces, right? And then that's not really optimal. Obviously, if he does kind of plan to move this out to a full leadership gear, then then this one kind of holds out of blue, right? The Milky Way, you kind of want to have that 3% extra skill damage from holding that as Dragon Breath now. So that is kind of the con in terms of equipment, but nothing major. So that's why I said some equipment issues, right? Equipment and armors are not focused on 1 troop march or a single troop Zenith, right? Because his equipment is actually mainly focused on the infantry, but his armaments are actually mainly focused on his archers, right? So equipment and armors are kind of split. So that means that it is hard for you to actually go after a single troop Zenith, right? Requiring leadership Zenith to thereafter, which requires 60 million power, right? So if you want to get the benefit, the best of both worlds, because you're infantry and archer at the same time. Also, you have pretty good cavalry setup as well. You know, it is probably best that you actually go after a leadership one, and we have great leadership skins that are coming just around the corner. So that's why I said, perhaps that might be a negative, because you can't go after just 40 million power push minimum requirements like infantry or archer single troop setup, which, by the way, they're going to release 20% health for those most likely in the next year or two. So that would have been nice, but you have to go after leadership, which is actually a little bit of a downside, depending on how you look at it. And low gold head right now with non-meta infantry marchers, which is okay. Accoung is built for field, but has garrison rally commander instead of meta field commanders. Obviously, I think it would have been better at this point in time for your account if you actually built a Sun Tzu Prime over Hector, right? So those are the things that I have. That's what I mean, right? Obviously, you have a lot of different commanders that could be rally or garrison lead. Asher Renopal is obviously a very, very strong rally lead commander, but then again, we don't really have any other commanders to pair him up with. So there's a lot of commanders that you have that might not be usable at this point for your account at the very moment. So those are my cons. All right, looking at the goals, short terms, I'll say I'll give my opinion on your opinion on Cavalry transition to Delta, because he did mention on his block of goals, he did say that he's looking to convert the Ho Chi Minh and Joan of Arc Prime to Delta. But I'll give my opinion on it. I'll give my suggestion on it. I don't think it's a good idea, but let's just go ahead and talk about it later down the road. And then 1 or 2 Zenith wins, 1 infantry and 1 archers or leadership. We'll be making suggestions based on the timing. We'll take a look at what is expected in terms of the timing wise, and then we'll go ahead and let you know what I think will be the best for that at the end of the day. And long term, I'll actually also make some suggestions on what you should be doing as well. So yeah, that's basically it. And Zenith Power Event, just to give you a little bit of background on the Zenith Power Event, guys. So Zenith Power Event right now, we have basically, ever since I started this channel, I have 5 different Zenith events that actually took place, right? March of 2025, which was last March, about a year ago, by the way. Wow, time flies, right? About a year ago, we had 20% infantry attack. And then 3 months after, we had 20% archer attack. 3 months after, we had 16% troop attack. And then 3 months after, we had 20% cavalry defense. And then 3 months later, which is going to be this March, we're going to have 20% defense. So naturally, what we can expect this to go, if we trend line this, right? In 3 months, we're going to get 20% archer defense. And then after that, in 6 months, we're going to get 16% defense skin. And then 3 months after that, we're going to get 20% cavalry health skin, right? And that's the one that I'm going after as a cavalry main right now. And then 3 months after, we're going to have 20% infantry health skin, which is going to be March of 2027, which could be one of the things that you can look to get, because obviously 20% health skins are going to last forever almost, right? And same goes with archer, right? June of 2027 is when you're going to get the 20% archer health. And then 20% all attack. Actually, 20%. No, this is actually going to be 20%. Yeah, 20% universal attack, which is going to be 20% troop attack skin, which is going to be awesome, by the way. This skin is going to be actually really, really strong, because nowadays, infantry, I think attack has become more valuable stats over defense, because you get a lot of defense stats from infantry setup usually. And then archers, attacks are just right around the corner from defense. Now, attack is not really the most valuable stats for cavalry, but your attack skin, your account is actually more of an infantry or archer account. So that, I think that could be a really, really strong one. But 20% universal attack skin is going to be crazy, right? And just looking at your account, I suggest that you go after either the 16% all defense or 20% all attack. Again, for a couple of reasons. For one, you don't really have the armaments and equipments focused on one troop type, right? So that means that you can't really rally your garrison with one troop type unless there's no other better person, right? So it is just better for you to just go after the troop attack, troop defense, city skin, right? So that's how I feel. And that's why I do suggest that you go after either of those city skins. And also at the same time, those city skin timings are actually really good timing. Like September of 2026, you still got like 7 months, right? So that means you can actually gather up enough speed ups and resources for you to actually, prepare for that. And if you want to go after the 20% all attack, which is going to be really, really good, that could also be possible in September of 2027, which does sound like there's a long way down the road, but like it's like a year and 7 months, right? If you prepare for it right now, you can almost get it without actually spending too much on the account, which is actually really, really good. So those two are what I do suggest. And then again, Universal Zenith suggested as your equipment armors are spread out, not focus, suggested to go with not 24% attack, sorry, 20% attack in 2026. As you need time to build up more speeds, right? The reason why I suggested 20% attack in September 2027 is because for you to reach the universal skins minimum, 60 million, you need 11.4 years of speed ups for you to train all T5s with 100% research buff, right? With you getting the Kingdom Duke, you getting like the 15% training speed, and you getting basically all the VIP buffs. Basically, it's at 100%, right? That's when you can actually use 11.4 years at the maximum for you to train 6 million T5 troops for you to get that 60 million power, right? Now, if you were to have, let's say, 3 million T4 troops, then that gets down to about 10 years, right? 9.889 years. And then if you have 5 million T4s, then it gets down to 8.87 years, right? So it depends on how many troops that you have trained up as T4 until that time that you actually start pushing for Zenith, that it gets easier. But 11.41 years is no joke, right? He does have 6.8 years, which is a lot, but he still needs about 2 to 3 years minimum, given that he has T4s, for him to actually get the minimum requirement for the universal skin. And that universal skin was heavily competed over in the last the power event for a 16% attack skin. So I would say be prepared for that 60 million minimum requirement. And then that's how long of a training speed ups and the universal speed ups that you need in total, right? So that's why I said just take your time. Wait until September of 2027 for you to get that 20% attack skin. That's what I suggest. Now, just for reference, if you were to go after infantry or archer skin, it does take only 7.6 years. Only is kind of weird. But it is actually possible for you to actually get it if you have like 3 million T4s, then with only 6 years, right? So this is really, really good. If you convert T4 to T5, it does get you higher power per amount of speed ups that you actually use, right? Which is one of the reasons why I keep just training T4s lately, right? Like all the trainings that I'm doing is actually in T4, just so that I can prepare for the December Zenith power event as well, right? I don't have a lot of speed ups, but I'm actually accumulating some as we go through the KVKs. And I actually just started accumulating those actually from like 3 years, right? 3 months ago. So yeah, the single troop Zenith power event obviously is easier, right? So yeah, that's what I would suggest. I'll say go for September 2027 if you want to push yourself a little bit, and if you want to spend a lot of your gems and money so that you can get ready for the 16% all defense city skin in September of 2026. You can do that, but personally, I don't suggest that. I don't recommend that because obviously 16% defense is good, but for archer and infantry, as I said before, attack has become more valuable than it has ever been before with the crystal tech changes. So I would say just go after the 20% all attack city skin in September of 2027. And that's my suggestion. Equipment order. So the current equipment is fine, but you need probably few optimization for step one. And this doesn't really cost you anything. You just gotta rearrange your equipments and armors at the end of the day. Equipments. I would say just give your Qinxiang Waishi ring. Give your Qinxiang Waishi a ring and then just run Pendant of Eternal Night. And how you do that is that just give your regular horn to Liu Che from your Zhuge Liang, and then give the credit horn to Zhuge because that's credit for Archer, right? And have Qin Shuang run with Pendant and Ring. Zhuge run the crit horn, and then Liu Che run Ring and Horn, right? Credit horn, I think that's autocorrect, right? So I'll go ahead and show you how exactly you're supposed to do it in a second. And then step 2, craft a ring for Zuge so that everyone has full accessories of horn and ring, as you have 6 sets of each, basically, except for 1 set of Greatest Glory, which is on the Baishi Liu Che, right? So that's what I would suggest. And then craft Eternal Empire Shield for the Liu Che, which is going to complete the 4 pieces of Eternal Empire set bonus for that March speed. Then replace the Hellish Wasteland Glove with Navis Control, which is optional, right? And that's how it looks like right now in terms of equipment. And then what I mean by just swapping over. So again, give this horn to Zhuge Liang, and then give this horn to Liu Che so that Liu Che has full equipment, right? And then give your ring back to Chen Huang so that Zhuge Liang is running credit horn for archers, and then Chen Huang has ring and pendant, and then Zhuge Liang will be missing 1 equipment, but then again, that's fine because you'll be able to craft another ring for it, right? Again, you did ask me if you did say that you wanted to craft another horn so that everyone can have a horn, but for Chen Wang and Chen Wang specifically, I would just suggest that you get a ring. So that's why it's a little bit messed up, but then again, that's what I suggest. And this is basically how I would see it eventually kind of grow out as. Chen Wang with a ring and Eternal Empire said that's why this is number 1. Again, number 1 is just all the arrangements that I explained in the earlier slide. And then I'll say craft another ring and then give it to Zhuge Liang, right? Craft another ring and give it to Zhuge Liang. That's basically all you need to do. And then you get the Eternal Empire piece for the 4-piece set bonus for the Eternal Empire set, and then craft a Navis Control eventually. So that's basically what I suggest. Again, this is optional. But yeah, that's how I will complete your current setup with the 6 March lineup with almost no deficiency, almost no mistake, right? Obviously, this Zhuge Liang setup would actually be, you were thinking about giving this to the leadership and all that stuff, but I'll just let you deal with that eventually. But yeah, right now, if you actually make those changes with like 1 or 2 crafts only, almost with this as optional, this would all be just complete, right? Your setup will be fine, good to run, almost fully optimized for your equipment. So I think that will be really, really awesome. In terms of commander comms, infantry does have immediate problem. Baichector, Liu Che, Alex, both are non-meta or outdated. Liu Che, Alex slightly outdated, and then Baichector is not really the meta, right? So and that is coming from the fact that you don't have Sons of Prime and William Wallace, and that's fine, right? That's fine. Especially William Wallace. Not having William Wallace is fine. Personally, though, I would say I will get Sons of Prime immediately and do Sons of Prime Liu Che, right? Because Sons of Prime Liu Che would be your best kind of comp that you can actually use without sacrificing the second pincer set, and then run by Hector, right? So just go ahead and make this Sons of Prime Liu Che your best infantry set. So whatever you have on Baichu and Hector right now, I'll just go ahead and move it to Sons of Prime Liu Che, so that you can have the best equipment and armors on the Sons of Prime Liu Che, and then Baichu Hector with secondary equipment and armors, so that you can run 2, I would say, almost meta marches in the current meta. And I would not work on William Wallace at this point because William Wallace will be, I think, out of meta very, very soon. And I would also stop working on infantry, rally, or garrison commanders unless you want to swap armors that you have on Huang to infantry, because at the end of the day, right now, your like your your armaments is basically what determines whether or not you're going to be a rally or garrison lead, right? So if you want to be an archer rally and garrison lead, that's fine. But if you want to be an infantry garrison or rally lead, I would say you have to convert all the legendary inscriptions from the archers to infantry, is my opinion. So yeah, that's why I said just stop working on the infantry for now, and then if you want to rally or garrison lead, I'll say go ahead and get to the archer side. And I'll hold off converting second cavalry to Delta until next cavalry release. Potentially, you can mix and match with Attila and Hector due to lack of commanders that are available. Right now, you don't really have that many commanders that you can utilize, aside from you basically have right now. If you look at your if you look at your lineup, right, you only have 3 combo commanders, right? Potentially 4 with Hector, right? Potentially 4 with Hector. But then again, then you have to sacrifice 1 march from your infantry, right? So that's not what you want, right? That's not what you want. You still don't want to use Luce Alex, because I think Alex now, with all those smite damage commanders coming into the game, I think Alex is out of meta, right? Alex was just there to kind of support whatever was happening. So I would say just go ahead and keep using, Ho Chi Bing and Joan of Arc Prime until next cavalry commander comes around. And then you'll be able to figure out, okay, so Arthur, Achilles, Attila, between those 3 commanders, what would be the best commander pairing that you can actually utilize for the 2 Delta setup? That's what I was waiting for. So that's why I said, hey, just go ahead and hold off on converting your cavalry to Delta until the next cavalry release, right? So that's basically what I said. All right. So in terms of my suggestion for your current setup, this is your current setup. But then again, I said, hey, just make the Sun Tzu Prime, and then make it Sun Tzu Prime Luce, so you have the full infantry almost meta setup that you can actually get. I think a lot of people actually does run this lineup, so I think that's fine. With the exception of Hector, but Hector is fine, I think. And then after cavalry commander does come into the game, you can actually look to use him with either Attila, or you can mix and match with the Arthur and Achilles. Is basically what I would recommend. This is more visual for you to actually get a better understanding of how this actually goes. And finally, armaments. Your archer armaments are the best. I'll focus on transmuting this personally. You still have like 1 or 2 areas that you can actually transmute this, so that you can actually become rally garrison potentially. And prepare your conversion stones for Wedge 2.0, as they might make archers the best again. Wedge 2.0, something that we don't really know what's going to happen there. But then again, just imagine what happened to Pincer, right? When Pincer came out, infantry became immediate meta for almost everything. I think currently, still, the infantry meta of rally, garrison, and field is only possible because we have Pincer in the mix, right? Because Pincer is the most not outdated, most recent release of armor setup that they actually release, right? But when Wedge 2.0 comes in, that might actually change the meta. So I'll say prepare your conversion stones, transmutation stones for your archer setup is basically what I would recommend. And then pincer armors are fine, but if you want to garrison, optimize the first pincer set, right? This is gonna be your number one the number one priority for your optimization for your pincer setup is getting that demolisher, which is the legendary inscription on your instrument for the pincer, right? Demolisher is probably one of the most valuable inscription in the game at the moment. It gives you so much value. It gives you so much value. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Yeah, you get so much value from the demolisher that is actually insane, right? This is actually what makes Pincer really, really OP, right? 5% boost to smite damage is fine, is already really good. But whenever your troop deals smite damage, it has 75% chance to ignore 50% of the target's defense. And this can trigger up to multiple times, up to 5 times. And if you only trigger it once, just in case you do like actually make a mistake of triggering it on something else, you get 100 extra rage. This is actually better than a lot of the skills that like commanders have, like at level 5. So that's why Demolisher and Pincer is really, really good. So that's why I would say your number one priority for your improvement for inscription right now is Pincer, and then Demolisher for it to be exact, right? And then Cavalry Wedge is okay. I think currently you holding Cavalry Wedge is fine, but perhaps not worth the conversion stones for you to convert to to Delta 2.0 possibly. So this is what I mean. So your current Cavalry Wedge setup is fine, and it's not worth the conversion stones to convert unless there is Delta 2.0. But the only thing that might be even worth actually converting to is actually just Hunter, right? Because Spirit, Brawler, Counter, all are good. But then again, those all cost at least 1 conversion stones, right? So I would say just convert your Hunter, and then everything else just get the ones that has like rare inscription from somewhere else. That's what I mean. So yeah, that's basically what I mean for the armors. All right, that was a long video. That was 46 minutes of me actually just talking. Hope you actually enjoyed this video, and Hokage, I hope this was actually helpful for you. I did try to make my best suggestions for you at the end of the day. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you, and thank you so much for subscribing to my premium membership, Hokage. I really do appreciate it. Big shout out for Hokage, who is the king of 3879, as well as 3358. For being an awesome player just in general, as well as awesome leader. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, please go ahead and drop me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, guys. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next video, guys. Peace!